1, 2, 3, go. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so today we are doing the topic of criticism. So criticism is something I don't take really well. Yeah, I get really pissed off and angry when people give me feedback. Get really defensive about it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in today's Theta healing video. And the opposite of criticism would be maybe you aren't angry, you're chill, laid back. So one thing I do kind of set straight up is the idea that there's a yin and yang. So I do get angry and defensive, and the opposite is you don't get angry at all. And actually in today's video, I only get into the one of them, the defensive side. I don't get into the benefits, because everything has benefits. Everything has drawbacks and benefits. And what I was trying to do is just find out what they are. So just to give some backstory on this criticism thing, as I made my YouTube channel, I would get a lot of positive feedback, but occasionally I'd get some negative feedback as well. And when I do get that negative feedback, I just get really pissed off. Put this on here. So usually I get angry only when if the person is not better or more experienced than me, like if it's a teacher or peer, and they want to critique my KonMari video and be like, like, oh, yo, like when I did it, this is what I did, but then if it's like a nobody, like I don't know, and they're saying like, oh, you did it wrong, you should have done it like this, I'll be like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm the master of KonMari, what the fuck? I'd be like, the only person I'd listen to is like Marie Kondo herself, And to me, when people are giving me feedback on my video that's not positive, I feel like they're challenging me. And so need to have higher status for, what am I writing here? For someone to respect you. So in this video, I talk a lot about this status thing, and I go into a lot. Like men are really into like the power and status thing, and like the whole respect thing. And here I'm just kind of like writing down all my feelings, and sometimes, like recently there was someone who commented on one of my KonMari videos, and I was just really angry, and I wanted to like, there's so like they preface their things like, oh, just love, like I'm just trying to give you my 2 cents, whatever, is just meant to be like some feedback. But I got really angry. I wanted to rip them like a new one. I'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about, here are the reasons why you're wrong, blah 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 blah. And I thought it would be a really good opportunity for me to do a data healing video. I've been really annoyed by criticism on my YouTube channel for quite a while now, and I think I could dig into it, and because ultimately I don't want to feel bad. It's stressful, to be angry and defensive all the time, and I don't know what is it like to be opposite. But I want to first understand how does being defensive serve me? Why is being defensive good? So I'm asking questions like, what are the benefits of criticism? How does it make you feel? And so if the person, right, is better than me and giving me criticism, then obviously I feel like it's good. If it's a teacher, someone who I recognize is of a higher status than me. But if they're not as good, I get really angry. I feel like they're disrespecting me. I want them to fuck off. I think they're so dumb. It's really gut reaction. It's a really visceral reaction, the way I feel. And then I'm gonna write down what's the first time I felt this way, kind of. So basically, I asked how I was feeling. I asked what's the purpose of the emotion. How does emotion serve me? And now I look back at, in terms of like the first time I felt that way, and it's kind of going into the therapy session time. And I guess it's useful when like an art instructor does it or a piano teacher. It's harsh but helpful. They're there to help you. But other times, because they're like an authority, but sometimes when my mom, like she was helping me with my business, um, and she was trying to give me advice, I was really hesitant and really aggressive, defensive in the way she was trying to give me advice because she didn't run a business before, and I was like, what do you know? I know so much about more business than you. And now I'm learning what did I learn, and something I actually did learn is that sometimes my instructors, the piano teachers or art teachers, are not always correct. They sound like really big and everything, but they're not always correct. Sometimes I learned afterwards, hey, they're actually wrong, even though you believe they're right. And sometimes regular Joe Schmoes, like my mom, like she'd give me advice and help me. And in the end, I wanted to resist her help at first, but in the end, she was actually right. And even though she was just a Joe Schmo, she wasn't like a professional MBA business degree. Sometimes, just regular people are right. And that's something I did learn. And yeah, I just realized that it was like a lesson. It's really important to understand your lessons. Um, because, for example, like let's say you're talking to a kid about your product, and you're like, oh, this art is awesome. And they show it to like a 5 year old, and the 5 year old's like, this stinks. What is that? I can't even tell what you drew. Would you be like, no, you're stupid, you 5 year old? But most likely the 5 year old is like just being honest and they're right. Okay, now let's look at the screen again. When was the first time you felt this way? What was I talking about? I think I was talking about the feeling of humiliation, like belittling someone, because I felt like sometimes when someone is wrong and you want to fight back and you're defensive, you need to belittle them to show, like, to put them in your place. And for Chinese culture, like a lot of time for my grandparents, my parent, like my mom in particular, would really not like my grandmother, but she'd be like, oh, like it's her place, so I can't say anything to her. I can't fight back, even though you know, it's her place, and whatever elders do, they're right. And I always hated that because in American culture, you should fight for what is right, no matter what your status is. You see in a lot of American movies, it's like the kid will fight their parents, and in the end, the parents are wrong. But in Chinese movies, it's usually like sometimes the children is wrong the entire time, and then the elders are always right. And that's kind of the propaganda thing, how things usually play out. And so let's see. Oh, okay. So I'm going into a story now. I remember one time I was a school leader at school. I was doing a group project, and I was a leader. And one girl, it was like a school club, and the girl yelled at me for not leading effectively. I was kind of playing favorites and abusing the power. I wasn't the best leader, but the point was she yelled at me, like I think she took me aside, and then she went like crazy. She was from New York, so like they're really honest. And I felt really bad, and I was really resentful for a long time because I felt like I sacrificed a lot for the group, and she was of course, more than disrespect me, I guess. Well, I guess she didn't not respect me. It was just she was really angry, and I took it as disrespect, and I felt kind of bad the entire time. But what did I learn? Oh, okay, so another case study was one time the next year when I was doing the project, I kind of dropped the ball again. I was kind of angry. And then the president of the organization spoke to me nicely and respectfully and told me, like, hey, like next time, can you talk this way? Because when you did this, we're working on this. And she explained herself in a really nice, respectful, and like firm way. And I felt like what I learned was I can tell someone they're wrong without being a dick about it. You can be nice and respectful and tell someone they're wrong. And just digging through my previous lessons, that's something I've learned before, but I guess I never really realized it. I think I still have the limiting belief that if someone's wrong, you have to be a dick about it and make them and humiliate them. Like that's what you got to do. And that kind of sucks for both parties. Because like the parent or the elder, they put in so much work. Like when I was in the school leader position, I put in so much work, and I felt like they didn't appreciate me when she was yelling at me. Even though she probably did, but it was really humiliating. And I think there are ways, just like the other girl who, even though I was wrong, she really respectfully and nicely told me that. And I think that's something that I should do too. Even if my parents are wrong, you can let them know in a really nice way. It doesn't mean you disrespect them. And sometimes, if someone's talking to you, um, and they're giving you feedback, it doesn't mean they disrespect you. They still respect you, but they're just giving you their honest feedback. And yeah, now I'm writing down some limiting beliefs. I have a limiting belief of if someone criticizes you, it's a sign of disrespect. It's necessary to belittle that person to put him, her in their place. Elders have a right to humiliate younger generation. You should fight for what is right no matter what status is. You must humiliate the other party to make them feel bad. And of course, these are all things that kind of make me angry, but things I've learned along the way. I like being around people where I am of a higher status. So a lot of times with friends, I feel like I want to be like the smartest or highest person in the group. Or I would be around people who are much older than me and much more powerful than me because they can benefit me in the long run. I don't do really well with peers, like who are like the same level because there is no hierarchy there. Everyone's on the same level. And I don't really know how to handle that. So maybe I'll just try to learn. High status people are useful and helpful. So I'm just writing a lot of variations on the things, trying to dig, and here I'm using my gut beliefs and like trying to be creative in different ways. So I've been getting some feedback on the previous videos. I've done a friendship video and anxiety, nervous video, and people responded really well to that. I'm just really thankful that people like these videos. Apparently, people relate to the topic, even if it's not a data healing video. I guess it's not so much about the framework that people are interested in. It's about the transparency and the vulnerability. Like people relate to this kind of stuff. I guess watching a therapy session on someone else is kind of therapeutic, I guess. So do you guys like the lighting? I worked on the lighting today, so the lighting is better. So check it out. Do you see how there's like lighting in the back? It's cool, right? See, now it looks like that. Boom! Okay. Alright, so status. So I kept on talking about status. So status, what does that mean to you? It means you're better than others, you're high class, you're powerful. And I kept on talking about status, so I want to find out what it meant to me. And so I do feel okay. So there's two columns, right? So one column on the left is when you are of higher status, and I grew up in Irvine, which is kind of like a rich city. And then on the other side, I want to write down what did I feel when I felt I was of lower status. One time I was a caricature artist at a party, and I went to Beverly Hills, and then I needed to use the restroom, and then it was like this area where it was like a haunted house area. It was on Halloween. And when I was trying to open the door, the guy was like, "Hey, can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for the restroom." He was like, "This is not a public restroom." And I just felt really bad, like, fuck you. And I just felt like I didn't want to be in the position where, because I also feel like I'm high class too, you know? Like, I was getting paid like $300 for like 2 hours to be there. So, like, I felt like I was like in high esteem. But okay, it probably went through. But I think what I didn't mention, but is really small there, is that night there was this old man and a daughter who wanted to get caricatures drawn, and I wasn't really courteous to them. Um, I I was like, yeah, just get in line, wait here, and I wasn't really respectful. I wasn't being like the Disney person. I was kind of tired at that point, and in the end, they left and they came back, and I was drawing someone else. And then they were like, "Hey, I thought you weren't drawing anymore." And I was like, "Hey, like I told you to stay here, but you left." And I kind of admonished them, and I bet, I kind of made them feel bad. And it's like karma, because I guess what I learned is that you don't want to do your best to be courteous to other people as well, because it really sucks when people are discourteous and rude to you. And I think that's what I learned. Um, Sometimes I will try to belittle other people in order to make myself feel better, and that's not good. So, okay, I'm writing affirming beliefs. So, everything in bold is an affirming belief. So far I wrote, if someone criticizes you, they respect you enough to tell you the truth. I can hear their feedback with grace and dignity. Everyone has the right to be respected, no matter how old, young, status you are. I can fight for what is right while respecting and being courteous to other parties. I can be strong, firm, and respectful. So it's like I delete a sentence and I replace it with like the opposite. And sometimes it takes me a while because it's just it never occurred to me to be like that before. I like being around all types of people. Everyone is worthy of respect. Everyone can help me no matter what seniority or status. So, yeah, this part is fairly easy. It's just you write the opposite. Higher status people can help me, and sometimes you have to be creative because I can be courteous and respectful to everyone because everyone is courteous and respectful to me. Sometimes things aren't that straightforward to think of an opposite. What's going on? I think I was thinking right now. I am able to receive help and correct answers from anyone. 4. I wrote 4. Oops. I am able to discern when someone is helpful and when someone is correct. So this is kind of interesting because we assume that if someone is really confident and being really helpful, they have the right answer. And it's like if you express it really well, like, oh, they're correct. But sometimes they're not. And sometimes people don't articulate themselves really well, but they are correct. And it's really important to not confuse the two. Like, for example, a science professor, or let's say a really charismatic pastor, right? They're telling the truth and like they're really like, they're like, oh, this is the answer, like this is what to do, and you might think they're correct, but maybe there's someone else who's like, I think maybe you have to do this, and we assume the person who's like less articulate is wrong, but sometimes maybe, oh, this is what to do. Maybe that guy is full of shit, and the guy who's like, I think can you do that? Blah blah. Maybe they're the one who is right. And what I was doing was I was saying an affirmation like, don't just trust a person who's charismatic. Try to discern like for yourself. Maybe the guy who doesn't have that strong of a voice has the brightest answers. Like, you don't know. But I think it's important not to discount or disrespect someone just because they're not speaking loudly enough. Okay, now what I was doing, people can give me feedback while still being respectful. Now I'm checking. And I think I was just trying to do the release work where you make a prayer and you release all your limiting beliefs and then you download all the affirming beliefs into yourself, and it's a theta healing prayer / command. It's more, we call it a command. It's like, okay, it's done, and your mind is kind of like a computer. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking at it and I'm seeing if everything assimilated. So if everything worked properly, I would read everything on the left, and then I would no longer agree with it. I would be able to immediately think of, oh, hey, yeah. Like, for example, I need to belittle others in order to feel good. And then the opposite in my mind would be giving everyone respect, mutual respect makes me feel good, you know? And yeah, now I'm just doing the affirmations. This is a lot of work. As you can see, it took me about an hour to do. I sped this video up by 300%, so it's only 20 minutes. So it'd be easier to watch. And yeah, we're about coming to an end of this video. I'm just doing some fine tuning here to make sure I got all my bases covered. So I'm talking about if you have high status, people respect you more. That's why it's important. People respect money. Money is power, and these are limiting beliefs. And so for the affirming belief is people respect me no matter how much power and money I have. I am worthy and deserving of respect. It is my birthright. I give respect to other people as well because it is their birthright. And I really like that. I think it's pretty good. Because I have this, predilection. What is that word? Pre, inclination, I guess, for money and power, to chase it and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, we should respect everyone. So that's about it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope it was helpful to you,